Hi everyone, this is your TELPAS training for 2022. If you're receiving this video, it's because you are involved with TELPAS testing in some way, either being a classroom teacher, a campus verifier, or a campus administrator, or a rater. Through this training, we're just going to do a brief overview of what TELPAS is, go over security and confidentiality procedures, go over the writing collection process, and then talk about what's next. So TELPAS is a test that our EB students have to take annually to monitor their English proficiency. Every student that qualifies for ESL services has to take TELPAS, even if they are not currently being serviced through the ESL program. So we have a couple of kids in our district whose parents have denied placement in the ESL program, but they still have to take their their TELPAS tests. So TELPAS is broken up into two different grade categories. There's K1, and that's all holistically rated. So teachers in K1 will be doing classroom observations and holistically rating their students in listening, speaking, reading, and writing. In grades 2 through 12, most of the testing is done online with the exception of writing. Teachers will only have to collect writing samples from their students. Everything else is done online in grades 2 through 12. So just in case you're interested, both rater manuals and test administrator manuals are available online. If you would like a copy of either one of those, you can either go to the TEA website or let me know. You won't have to administer the actual test, but if you want it on hand, I can get you one. So if kids come in after February 21st, because when we come back into class on Monday, our TELPAS window has opened for writing samples and all the things. So technically we're in TELPAS season. If students enroll after February 21st, if they enroll in grades K and 1, teachers, you do not have to worry about getting any of the assessments in TELPAS done for them because it's going to come from their prior campus. In grades 2 through 12, teachers, you won't have to worry about getting writing samples from them, but I will give them the online testing portion. So if you get a kid that's EB after February 21st, don't worry about any of the holistic stuff. If they're grades 2 through 12, I'll pull them for testing. If they're K1, we'll get it from their other campus. So now moving into test security. Really, test security for TELPAS is very similar, if not identical, to STAR test security. The writing samples that students give are considered secure materials. So you will treat them like you would a test STAR booklet or a test STAR ticket. The campus verifiers will have file boxes that can be locked that those writing samples will live in once you turn them in. So people that can handle secure materials, you have to have signed your oath as after you do this training that will be sent to you. It's again very similar to STAR. For the chain of custody of writing samples, it will go from the student to their teacher, from the teacher to the campus verifier, from the campus verifier to me. So campus verifiers, primary will not have one because they are all holistic. At the elementary, it will be Anne Marie Gladden. At the intermediate, it will be Tammy Scott. At the junior high, it will be Amber Clemens on her MTSS days when she's in the counselor's office. On the high school campus, it will be Cynthia McCoy. If you have questions, please reach out to me. High school campus, Dawn Griffin will also be able to collect secure test materials. So the biggest thing is just making sure that we're keeping track of those writing samples and treating them like secure documents. So confidentiality, again, very common or very similar to STAR. A lot of their confidentiality has to do with the actual online testing portion, which y'all won't have to worry about. Here's a list of serious violations. Again, I'm not going to read through all of them. If you want to read them, you can pause this video and read through them. But it's, again, very similar to STAR. Same thing with penalties for serious test violations. So the writing collection process. In grades K and 1, you do not have to physically collect writing samples because all of yours is done through observation. In grades 2 through 12, we will need 5 writing samples from each EB student, at least 5. You can turn in more than 5, but we need at least 5. Typically, it's been 2 from ELAR, 1 from social studies, one from science, and one from math. One of those writing samples has to be past tense. So teachers will assemble a collection of each student's writing from a variety of content areas. Then raters, in our case, in our district, it's a centralized rating team, will read through those and give them a rating beginner to advanced high. As a classroom teacher in grades 2 through 12, you will not have to give any extra classroom observations where writing is concerned. So their writing score will be 100% based off of the writing samples you collect and turn in. So the goal in collecting all of these writing samples is to get a good understanding of this student's writing proficiency. Your writing activities should be planned within your lesson plans, covering content area TEKS and the ELPs. So this isn't just an extra activity that only your EB students do. You absolutely could assign it as a graded assignment to your entire class, and then just turn in the EB students. So the writing window opens on February 7th. All of our writing pieces are due on February 28th. So please make sure that your writing samples are dated between February 7th and February 28th. If they are dated prior to February 7th, I cannot use them. So again, in the samples required, you have to have at least 5 pieces of writing. One has to be in past tense, and there has to be at least 2 writing samples from math, science, or social studies. Again, the way this has been broken up in the past is 1 present tense writing from ARLA, 1 past tense writing from ARLA, and then 1 writing from social studies, science, and math. If your grade level team wants to get together and discuss other ways to do that, I'm perfectly okay with that, as long as we end up with 5 samples, 1 past tense, and at least 2 from math, science, or social studies. So eligible types of writing includes descriptive writing, writing about a familiar process, writing that uses past tense, personal narratives, expository, procedural writing from science, math, and social studies. So really just about any writing that they're using in class, as long as it's in a paragraph form, can be turned in. You cannot turn in papers containing copied language. So their paper cannot have pre-written sentence stems on it. It has to be completely done in the student's language. Papers where students rely heavily on resources like dictionaries, thesauruses, etc. If it's something where you can tell that they have copied and pasted from the internet, do not turn it in. Papers showing teacher comments and corrections. So although you can take grades on your writing samples, those grades and corrections cannot be on the paper that you turn in to me. So the best way to do that is to make a copy, give me the original, grade the copy. Papers in which the student relies heavily on word walls, word banks, and student spelling lists. If they're occasionally using that, it's not a big deal. But if you read their paper and you know that they have 0 spelling errors and this baby can't spell, that paper doesn't count. Again, these papers are trying to determine their English writing proficiency. Other things that are not allowed are worksheets or question answer assignments. So you can't turn in a paper that has 3 short answer questions on it. It needs to be a long answer or like an essay answer question. Papers that have been polished through editing from help or with help from peers or teachers. So that's not to say that you can't turn in a final draft. You absolutely can have students write a rough draft and then self-edit and then do a final draft. But during the editing process, no one can help the EB student. Papers written primarily in students' native language. If you have a student that speaks primarily Spanish, their paper has to be written in English. So they might only get 10 words on the paper, and that might show their English writing proficiency, and that's okay. But they cannot turn a paper in that's written in their native language. Papers that are brief, incomplete, or rushed. Again, please make sure that you plan these into your lessons and plan them before February 28th so that students have an opportunity to really show what they know. If they aren't given adequate time, that will show up in their writing proficiency. So we really would love to have more than 5 writing samples so that then the central rating team can kind of choose the ones that best highlight the students' strengths and weaknesses, but 5 is the minimum. If they really struggle in writing, it's okay to turn in pieces that show that they really struggle. Again, this process is to help us determine their writing proficiency. They can be writing in their comfort zone where they feel comfortable writing, but also you might include pieces that show that they're being stretched. So some pieces might be stronger than others, and that's okay. Students who are capable of expressing themselves in English in a detailed, extended way should do so. Do not include brief responses from students who know enough English to respond to writing tasks in extended ways. So, for example, don't allow someone that you know can write well to turn in a paper that has 4 words written on it. Again, this is to help us determine their writing proficiency, and if their writing samples do not show what they know, then we can't do that. So build writing collections that have a balance of writing from language arts and other core content areas. All 5 samples cannot come from their ARLA class. The collection needs to show their strengths and weaknesses. So good writing collection examples. This is an example from a student in grade 8. You can see that their writing is very legible. It's definitely complete sentences. There's a variety of different words and adjectives and all the things in there. You could also see, though, that there are some things like they don't always capitalize the first letter of their sentence, or they might use the wrong punctuation. Some of the words are misspelled, but this shows how proficient this student is in English. So, verifier responsibilities. Again, if you are a campus verifier, you will be given a locked box to keep all of the writing samples in. Once the writing samples are turned in, you are looking for a variety of things. You're looking to make sure that each student has at least 5 writing samples, that at least one of those samples is in past tense, and at least 2 of those samples are from math, science, or social studies. You're also checking each paper to make sure the student's name and a date are written on all of them. No samples are written prior to, that should say, February 7th. No teacher corrections are shown on the samples. No worksheets or question answers assignments are included, and samples are written primarily in English. You'll have a checklist sheet for each student to be able to check off all of these things as they turn their papers in. So here are some websites for more research, more TELPAS resources, should you be interested. By no means are you expected to go see these things. If you need clarification or have questions, please reach out to me. So now what? So we're going to look at the green side of the screen. Once you've completed this training, I will send you an oath. I will need you to sign and return that oath to me. We will have calibration training. More details on that will come. If you don't have to calibrate anything, then this is it. This is your only training. You'll be in communication with your campus verifiers for the writing collection process. If you have to read a manual, then I will get that to you, and you should be reading through that. And then anybody that's a part of the rating process will have to attend the calibration activities. So once we get their results, the kids who take TELPAS get 4 ratings, basically. They get an overall rating called a composite rating, and they'll either be beginner, intermediate, advanced, or advanced high. And then they will be rated in each of the 4 areas: listening, speaking, reading, and writing. The only students that are allowed to exit the program are students who score advanced high in listening, speaking, reading, and writing at the same time. So just because they've been advanced high in years past doesn't mean that goes with them forever. It's a clean slate every year. Last year, we had many students who missed exiting by 1 area. Lots of kids, the speaking area is weak for them. Writing also tends to be a weak area. So if you have questions about where your students are in TELPAS ratings, let me know and I can send you their results. So again, if you have any questions, please reach out to me. If you don't have any questions, then keep doing what you're doing.